Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I am the host of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And with collaboration with those two organizations, I've been able to reach out to over 75,000 fathers around the world, directly or indirectly. And I am also the board chair of the Global Food and Drink Initiative, which is a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, drink, and travel. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and the solution to one problem. I said that without taking a breath.
And Blackalicious. Wow.
You almost forgot and Blackalicious, yes. People like the Blackalicious thing now. Like when I put that on at the end, they go, "Whoa, I like that!" Like it's enough for them to handle the preamble, but the Blackalicious is the thing that really sticks. Everything else is fodder, right? You know,
right.
It locks it down.
I gravitate to the magnet for miracles. I like that. I think I might use it.
Because okay. Magnet for miracles. I like that, and I've been using that for a long time, and and the thing is, when you say something, the first person hears it is yourself. So it's my own motivation to myself.
Absolutely.
That I use. And when some people say, "Oh, you forgot something," go, darn, I should actually have it written down, but I don't need to write it down. I say it at least. Well, I do at least 3 or 4 live conversation weeks. So I say at least 6 times a week. And I've been doing this for a long period of time. So it's all good. So what's going on this morning, Ryan Knight?
Nice. And for those that don't know who Ryan Knight is, I'm one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, figuring out what stage they're in today, and then helping them create a blueprint to grow their companies exponentially. And I also run a company, Detailing Nights. It's a mobile waterless car cleaning service. So we come to your house or your office and clean your car on the spot without using water and using our eco-friendly plant-based cleaning supplies. And we're in the second phase of our youth entrepreneurship program. So shout out to Taj and Torian that are with us for the fall. They have been setting up their detailing zones, one in Brampton and one in downtown Toronto. So if you need your car done, special rates are going out until the end of October. So keep a lookout at our Facebook page. But for me personally, this weekend, we were hard at work. I think we cleaned about 8 cars. So it was like half training, half we're out handing out flyers and just showing them what it's like talking to people in real life, getting from behind the phones. So it was good, and getting to see him sell himself to clients that come up and ask, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, how much does it cost? Tell me about your service." So I thought that was awesome. And he's a shy kid. I was with Taj today and seeing him talk to customers, like coming out of his shell. So that was pretty cool.
Good, 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 good. Well, nay, that's all good, and I'm glad how you are having a positive impact on the Black future.
Hey, appreciate that. And actually, that reminded me this weekend there was an interesting back and forth on Facebook with a
Oh,
lady posting about an interview that she had with, I would say, a quote unquote coach. And the coach was really heavy on accountability for women and the fact that you're falling for these things that guys are telling you, why you're like delusional, you have to get over it. And I was thinking about you and that you do coaching with
yes, I do. Well, for those who don't know, I'm a certified. I could go get in the other room. I actually have a certificate, and I do I love people and say when they're coaches, they say, okay, where did you go to school for it?
Right. Self-proclaimed, and there's so many of those on Instagram.
Well, everyone's a coach, and not to knock it, but I think it's like if you have a mechanic, you'd like to. Well, let me use a better example. I guess you'd rather have a certified accountant than, especially I'll put in a business realm, because Brian, a lot of people that you serve are business people. You'd rather have a person as a CPA or CA probably than says, "Oh, I do books."
Right. Yes.
I do books.
We all have a cousin that does books.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but the cousin is like creating an Instagram account and bringing people on and interviewing them, saying like, "Oh, I can help you with your accounting," and there's no certification there.
Yeah, well, and again, it's up to people's personal preference, and I think especially in areas like coaching, you want integrity. Now, yes, having a certificate. Yeah, I am a certified coach. Had my certification since 2015 June, and also, so people want to. I put it out there. If people would like a complimentary session, I'm more than available to just show you what coaching is all about, to the point where I am actually. Hey, good morning, Anna. Good morning, Anna. How you doing? Long time associate online. Off and on, we keep in touch. But yeah, I actually, for the school I graduated with, we're getting into good conversation already, good stories. The importance of relationships. Relationships are everything. And for myself, I kept in good relationship with both the gentlemen who've been running this school since 1996.
Okay.
And it is based in Vancouver, Canadian.
Right.
And the one of the gentlemen, I won't use his name here, but we had a good rapport. Actually, when someone referred me from my community in the US, a lady lives in Atlanta, said you should become a coach. And I said, okay, let me check it out. So I contacted the reference. Yes, Blab class of 2015. That's how Anna and I first met.
Oh, nice.
And we kept in. So I basically sat with him and asked him an hour's worth of questions about his coaching program. I was happy. Went through the program, graduated. So we kept in touch. Even I did a series of conversations. Some of them are on my platform about different aspects of coaching from a consumer standpoint.
Yes.
And then for the last 2 years ago, he says, "Man, you should become a mentor coach. You should become." I go, "No, I don't want to do it." And then I said, "Okay." So it was around February the beginning of this year, because I think don't waste this crisis. I got into a new avenue where every Monday night I do mentor classes for the students that are in his program on different aspects of coaching. So it's about an hour and a half. I didn't know it
was connected to his class. That's great.
Well, it's him and this other gentleman own the coaching school. So they won it in like 1996. So so I started back in February, and sure I was excited, not because my mentor Mary Armstrong says never use the word nervous, use the word excited. Right. So I was excited to start, and I absolutely love it now. I think it's, and just students that are in my classes, about 5 or 6 different classes during the week, led by different people. I have students from the Philippines, United States, Germany, all on this teleconference call, and it's a great experience. And I didn't realize how much I've always liked to do presentation stuff, but this is a whole different skill set that I've been able to acquire. and I really, really, really love it. So long story, but yeah, it was relationships, right? Relationships. So
and so this is why I wanted to get your perspective, because it seems that there's two perspectives on women that have men leave them and they become single mothers. And now the coach was saying, like, why are you women always falling for this the next guy, and just like, oh, you'll have multiple baby fathers and you never get it. And so my question was, is it the women? And it was almost like people in the chats were like, yeah, women are delusional, and you can't tell them nothing and they need to be accountable. But then my question was, what are these men saying to women to make them delusional? And then so the coach is like putting the accountability on the woman, and then a lot of people are backing that up. And then also, is it all just the woman's fault and they're not getting it? And should it be put a bit on the men too, that are telling these women things that are making them delusional? So, and again, I'm not asking the question properly, but I'd love to get your perspective on.
So yeah, we're getting in the whole world of relationships, right? And I think, see, and I've been listening to a number of conversations lately about this subject. Listening, I was saying listening. I think first things first. When I hear "you women," right. For me, that makes me jump away, because that's painting a brush over that. Now, maybe, and again, I wasn't there for the conversation, but I think that from a lady's perspective, ladies want to be with a gentleman, but the thing is, you have to realize that you have to have your boundaries.
Oh, and so one piece that he was saying, like, oh, why are you sleeping with a man that is not committed to you and marrying you?
Exactly.
So okay,
this is, I would agree with that. Now that part, I would agree. It's if you're being with someone just to be with someone, what is your intent, right? If you are just gonna be with someone for being one's sake, then you haven't established any boundaries. Like when people, for a number of years, even before I had hair, ladies would come to me saying, oh, he broke off with me, this and that and the other thing. I said, okay, hold on a second. Weren't there signs along the way that made you go, yes? Well, why didn't you deal with them then? Because it's the little things that spoil the vine a lot of times, not the big things.
Right.
So again, if whether man or woman, if you're wanting to be with someone, there's a number of factors you got to realize. Like when if you're going to get serious with a person, that means you're not only serious with them. A lot of times you have to be, the family comes into play too.
Very true.
And if you want that person to be a certain way, are you?
That's a good question.
You can't expect that person to take you to the higher ground, because they got their own things that they come to the relationship with. So I always say that, and it's interesting, I got into a very interesting conversation a while back, that I believe you should have a friendship before you have a relationship.
Okay, right.
Because good friendships are based on trust.
Right? But you mentioned around boundaries. So do you feel, because I've seen relationships where they don't get married and they're happy and can...
Sure. Well, they know their boundaries.
Right. So is it more around just knowing the boundaries? Like, I feel like just stamping marriage as the thing that a man has to do in order to show he's committed to you goes a bit...
Look, marriage is not a ceremony. Marriage is a journey. Right? So yeah, it's all great to have a great wedding, but the real work starts the day after the marriage. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Anna's chiming in here. I just put make good, but personal responsibility extends to both halves of the couple. So that's the thing, right? We're talking about relationships on the day of an election. This is interesting, but
it's funny because it sparked, as you were mentioning, being a role model for the youth that I work with. And then that got me thinking of just the relationship conversations that were happening this weekend. And I was thinking about you. And just so, yeah, I mean, like, we don't have to go deep into it, but I was curious just to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, look,
because I think that conversation is heating up too.
An interesting comment here. Marriage is also one of the few confidence people enter in with God. So I will say to that, if you are of that faith, yes. But the thing is, a lot of people have challenges committing to themselves. So asking them to commit to another person, that's a whole other. A lot of us have commitment challenges to ourselves. So we have to realize: are we willing to accept the great things and the not so great things about that other person?
Well, what's interesting is your approach, and I wonder if this is a way to speak to women instead of like crucifying them on making bad decisions, but coaching them to ask better questions. I feel like your approach to asking questions.
Well, see, this is the thing, and it's interesting. This is where I really am getting a whole deeper re-education in being a coaching mentor, and questions are so important, right? And intuition and all that. And you really, the course I took for my coaching certification taught a lot about me. It made me examine me and the individual that I am. I think that asking questions, and you learn more by listening and watching than talking.
Yes.
Right. So when I'm involved in other people's relationships from a distance, I say, you know what? One of the best ways to learn about somebody is give them freedom.
Okay.
How many relationships have you heard the person said, man, well, I want to do this and this and this, and I couldn't do it because I was with you? Have you heard that before?
Yes.
So, and Anna's saying it also helps that men and women are fully transparent with each other. And I agree with that. My deeper question is, are they transparent with themselves?
Right. Well, and then have they asked those questions of themselves, like you're saying before? Because if you haven't answered them for yourself, you won't even think to ask them a lot of time to another person. And that's what I find draws out red flags. When you ask a person the right questions, their answers really tell you about where they're going in life. So a lot of times, like the conversation was going through, a woman's friends will be telling them about the man and be like, yo, this guy's no good.
There's a whole other variable there. Like, you want to do a multi series on the morning vibe, but again, who are the people that your other half is associating with?
Very true.
Right. So again, trauma, repetition, symbolism. Right. So if your other half, here's an interesting situation. If you're involved in a relationship and all your best friends are divorced,
jeez,
red flag. There's actually a real great, it's a potential red flag because, and there's a great video of a Jamaican lady. Got to play it maybe next time we're on, about red flag. It's so hilarious, but it's so true.
Okay.
It is so true, right? And Anna's here. Yes, self-awareness is important. Sometimes people some people could couple up before they're study themselves. Absolutely agreed.
I think that's like 95% of people, because the self-study is something we definitely don't, and that should be done on a continuous basis. Right. And interesting, one of my mentors was sharing, he's doing a series about he's doing a series called Making Decisions. Okay. Yes. And the other day he did a great presentation about what do you do when you make great decisions and what do you do when you make bad decisions. Maybe I can refer to it, maybe see if I can find it here. But it was, I think, the whole relationship thing, because we all bring certain good and not so good things to relationships, and we always want to have our best foot forward, but you really learn about people when they're not at their best. Well, and that's where, when you're dating, you're only putting your best foot forward. So you'll say all the right things, you'll do all the right things, And again, that objective for a lot of men is to just get the woman in bed. So now when that objective is complete, they haven't, typically you don't talk about what happens after. And so you'll see a lot of pregnancies and things happening.
See, this could be, Anna saying this could be a nice series with you and your guest Ryan Knight. Well, I would actually want to bring another person in on
Yeah, I'm not the one for this.
Right. I would
love to just watch and observe.
Well, no, I think if we could find in our community, I was going to use a term. I'm heading a relationship expert, which is a loaded term right there.
Yes.
But so here's an interesting quote by a gentleman named Andy Stanley. He said, quote, "To decide our way into a better future, we must develop the uncomfortable habit of telling ourselves the uncomfortable truth regarding why we are choosing to do what we are choosing to do."
And that uncomfortable truth, I feel like that's where the coach was trying to get to when he was talking with this woman, to say there's an uncomfortable truth there that women have to embrace. But now, what's the best way to get women to uncover that truth? Because a lot of times we can't tell the truth to ourselves.
No, well, the thing is, in good coaching, the client makes a decision.
That's the thing, right?
So so the thing is, if I'm with that lady, I would mentoring or coaching that lady, I would ask her, okay, why do you keep on doing these things?
Right. And I feel like it was the opposite, where it's like when a coach is just like, you are doing these things. No, it doesn't work, right?
No. That's pushing your opinion on somebody else, and that's not allowing that person. You're good coaching. You're taking the client or clients, because if you're doing good coaching, you're taking the person or persons from seeing the forest to seeing the trees.
Okay.
From what you're sharing with me, and I'm only going with that. I don't know by that tone and that approach that lady is getting any clarity.
Right.
Right. So Anna's saying, right, which is why if people display bad behavior before the ring on it, what kind of expected? Exactly. Right. And ACBN, women tend to hold on to the hope that the person will change. And I agree with that. Like you want the person to change, but I think you have to have a boundary. Again, what are you willing to accept?
Well, and I was watching a video about human behavior, and they were talking about, as we evolve through societies, we are a trusting species. Like, we couldn't evolve and create communities without trust. So we're not in relationships thinking the person is going to deceive us. If they're and a lot of times that's where in business people get.
It's true. Well, but see, that's the thing though. We have to realize that you have to expect anything to happen. The thing is, how do you respond to it?
And I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, because when a person gives you a red flag, more times than not, if you want to see like the benefit, we see the benefit of the doubt, I feel like more times than not, unless we're like really paranoid. If a person's like, hey, something happened and it might have been a trust issue, if they say the right things, typically we will forgive them and move on. And that's where I find, because we have that trusting nature, if we were a more paranoid society, the first red flag, we'd be like done with that person.
Well, and not everyone
want it to work.
Yeah, everyone has their own parameters, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure we put an asterisk beside this. Everyone has their own parameters on what they're willing to accept, right? I'll say when I was younger and I had hair, I was engaged to someone. They cheated on me. I dropped it right there.
Okay.
I dropped it right there.
You had that boundary and done.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I at the time I said, look, if you really cared about me and the relationship wasn't right, we could have discussed it together instead of you going to do that to the extreme. And then I got there. Well, you know what? Can you forgive me? Yes, I'll forgive you, but I'm not going to be with you.
Right.
And that's my, as Bobby Brown, what an interesting example. That was my prerogative.
Yes, yes.
Right. But everyone has their own boundaries, and everyone has their own what they're willing to accept and take. And it's not for me to judge, because I'm not in their shoes and I don't have their thought process. So you have to respect. You don't have to agree with what they're doing. And you want to respect. So
was that a boundary you had set from prior to being in a relationship, saying like, if this happens, I know?
Yeah. So Anna's saying we can influence for good, but we cannot mold them into. You can't mold on the idea of and I didn't pay Anna for this. She says Dar has always been a very smart fellow, and Anna also says forgiveness and trust are two different things. Exactly, right? You can forgive someone, but you may not trust them.
Yes.
Right? So I think that, and another aspect too is, especially in business, can you separate emotions versus facts?
And so that's where
it came up.
Yeah, it came up because that's where some of the comments were talking about women being delusional because of the emotional thing. And that emotion for me is triggered by something. Like, a woman's not just delusional just because. It's like a man will tell a woman certain things that their friends seeing from the outside would be like, why are you following along with that?
Let me just do some things here. I think that, and this is just Dr. Vibe speaking to the ladies out there who want to get married into a relationship. See how the guy treats his parents.
Okay.
Also, I would say, see if he's open to talk about his past relationships.
Well, is that just a direct question that you would ask? Like, how do you get a person talking about past relationships?
Well, a lot of times guys will ask women about their past relationships.
True.
So why can't be the other way?
Yeah. But what would be a good question? Because is it?
No. So no.
That seems so broad.
Say, how come you're single?
Right. But then I was like, I haven't found the right person.
And okay, how many relationships have you had in the past?
Oh dear, I haven't counted.
Oh geez,
let's say 6.
Okay. And I would say, all right. Were there any of those relationships you wish you still had?
You see, because one mind of the answer is yes, but then the other mind is like, if I say yes, she's gonna ask me about this person, and I want to deflect from that, so I was gonna be like, I just want to be with you, baby.
If I'm a lady, I would say, okay, do you still keep in contact with any of your exes?
No, I don't.
Okay, because I've mentored people before, especially women, who are dating guys and exes are still keeping in contact with the gentleman she's dating. And I say, okay, well, have you met that lady? No. I said, well, why hasn't he introduced you to that lady?
Because technically she's a friend based on their actions. So he should have nothing to hide. That's an interesting question.
So I'm going to see if we can pull someone in. I think it'd be actually get to get either a couple that does this. I think it'd be great to have a couple that does. And actually, I've reached out to a lady fairly prominent in the U.S. and hopefully she can come on. She actually has her PhD in social work and does a lot of relationship counseling, mentorship in the Black environment.
Right.
So I'm going to see if we can get her on because again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just going on evaluated experience, but I don't like the you women. That gave me a bad feel.
Absolutely.
Because she should come up, well, you men.
Right? Yes.
Right. So, it's interesting. Who was it? I was having a conversation with one of the members of my community. He does helps men in Bali, and he said a very interesting quote. He said, "When a couple has a child, everybody's life changes."
Or like extended circle.
No, well, everyone thinks it's the couple's life changes and the baby's life. It impacts everybody.
Oh, okay, right.
So the thing is, and again, we're in a time now where marriages are at an all-time low and divorces are at an all-time high. And again, another one of the results. So some folks can be friends with exes depending. Now, you know the most important word in that sentence, depending.
Well, even because it was interesting, even if they're friends, the question around, oh, could you introduce me to her? Why haven't you? That to me explains that friendship a bit more. If the man is willing to introduce his current girlfriend to an ex that he still talks to.
Sometimes you learn more from a no than a yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
Anna saying yes, kids changes everything. Yes, it does in a lot of. Well, I won't get into details, but I am helping 3 men since the pandemic started that are going through divorces. One of them, the couple allegedly was happy, and one morning the wife just left with the 3 kids.
Like physically out the door.
Gone.
Wow, that's insane. Like but he thought everything was good.
And from what I know, he's a really good guy. Gone. And the challenges he's going through in regards to custody.
Right.
I have another gentleman who I helped a number of years ago was to get access to his child. Both him and the mother were living in Toronto. She moved either just before or during the pandemic to St. Catharines, which for people who are watching globally, here's probably about for Ryan an hour.
Yeah.
From here, for me, about an hour and 15 minutes from where I live.
West, yeah.
He has not seen his 5-year-old son since the pandemic.
You see that? Like that's hard to process.
Right. So there's a whole lot of things going on which brings up the whole family law system and all that. So which is another conversation topic.
Because you help men a lot of times that are struggling to see their kids. And
I help men that are struggling, period, whether they're fathers or not these days.
Right. So I was curious on the other side, have you ever spoken to men that have left the relationship and left the child? And have you ever asked them how, like, what made it easy, or why did you make that decision to leave the baby mother of your children?
I can't stand that term, but the mother of your child, but baby
mother of your child, yes.
Mother child. A lot of times, and this is just from my own experience, when men do things like that, they're thinking of themselves. They're not thinking about the whole.
Right. Yes.
Right. A lot of times we as human beings only think about ourselves, and we don't think that what we do impacts at least one other person.
Definitely.
Right. There's very, 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 very few people in this world that are self-sufficient, meaning that whatever they do has no impact on nobody. Just a thought. That's just where I'm coming from, right? So, this is actually, let me just see here.
And that was one thing when my wife tells me, hey, the decisions that you make impact me. So Absolutely. If I make a bad decision, it negatively impacts her. That's what always catches me to be like, yeah, I have to.
And it may not just maybe your mannerisms. It may that you don't want to be around anybody. But it has an impact. Like here's another thing I want to pull out, to saying that don't blame others and avoid taking responsibility. And that's when you make what not to do after making a poor decision. You don't want to blame other people.
Okay.
Accept responsibility.
Yes. Right.
So dads are often hardwired and want to be involved with their progeny. To leave means something they want. Pretty wrong. Yeah, because as I share with especially a lot of fathers, it's the research shows that the more engaged fathers are with their children, especially when they're growing up, the higher potential those children have better outcomes as they grow older.
Right.
So, didn't know we were doing marriage relationship counseling today.
Listen.
Had no idea. We just show up and throw anything at Dr. Vibe Day. All right. It's all good. No, I don't mind. I don't mind sharing about it at all. So yeah,
no, appreciate that.
No, it's okay. I always I always find it interesting what's going on in the battlefield. And I think actually there's a lady named Joyce Meyer who she is a pastor, preacher, she wrote a very interesting book many years ago called Battlefield of the Mind.
Okay.
Really, really, really interesting book. So I think that with relationships, the best relationship everyone has is with themselves. And I always say to people, be a better human. Work on being a better human. And the better human you are, the better human you'll be with others. And also use discernment. If you see a red flag, that means it's a red flag for a reason. Address it in real time.
So discernment, what does that mean?
So for me, take time to think. Like, do you take time 50 minutes each day and just have some self-time?
Okay.
I
like that.
Like, I know you're the king of meetings, but before I go into 95% of the time, before I go into a meeting, I have 15 minutes to just have some downtime before I go into another meeting. I schedule that.
Just kind of recalibrate. Yes.
Right? Recalibrate. Don't be driven by money, be driven by purpose.
And I found with Zoom and video meetings now, it's so easy to just stack meetings back to back to back.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
Like today, I have a long day because, we'll talk about in the second half. I got election stuff to do later on this evening, but I have some time this afternoon where I'm going to be doing nothing. I may be sleeping for a few hours.
Excellent. Right.
Really, really take care of yourself. So those conversations, you women.
Oh dear. Yes.
Like, she should have come back and say, you guys.
Yes.
But again, I say this to you, if you've been in a lot of relationships and they haven't worked out, you've been in a lot, I have to be honest here. What's going on with you? Because the two common things with all those relationships, they ended and you were part of them. So sometimes you have to, someone that you're says goodbye, driven by purpose. Yeah.
Yes.
But yes.
They ended and you were part of them. Can that come up at dinner? If you're at dinner, you're like, yeah.
Well, it depends.
So tell me about, yeah.
Well, we sometimes have to accept responsibility, right? Like I just said, don't blame others. And when you make a bad decision, don't blame other people and don't avoid taking responsibility. Like when you admit that you're wrong, it's such a freeing thing, right? And I know when you have those hot discussions and you say, I made a mistake, don't you notice a number of times the other person will go on, say, I admitted I was wrong. They keep on going and going and going and going. Say, all right, like it's off of me. And I admitted I was wrong. And, if there's concerns that you have, address them and then say, how are we going to be better from this? You say, how am I going to be better? Then how are we going to be? Like, if you've made them say, how are you going to, and proclaim it.
Makes sense. I like that.
Right. Put that commitment to yourself and the person that it's impacted and say, this is how I'm going to be better.
Right. No, awesome. So right, if Trudeau says he's wrong and he'll be better,
well, you know what's interesting. We'll hold on that because I had hosted Black Hannah talking yesterday, and one of the panelists, Cesar, made a classic comment. Classic. So we're gonna break for just a moment, and we'll start with a classic comment, and we'll talk about what we're going to be doing tonight for the Canadian election. So thanks for everybody for watching. I hope I'm making some sort of sense. And if you agree with me, great. If you don't agree with me, great. But that's everyone has a thought. So we'll be back in just a second. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, and it is Black Canada Talking time. Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes on stories, POVs that are of importance to them, or we showcase Black Canadians are doing their thing.
The real aspect of what goes on behind the walls or behind the fence is a totally different persona and a totally different picture.
There was just a big sense of relief when we finally got there.
We have to realize that everything we do is going to have an impact on probably a lot of people we don't even know.
One of the mandates of the CBC is to reflect Canada back to itself.
Not a lot of sustainable long-term movement that will effect economic change.
God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good.
Cool. Oh, I think you're on mute. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So just coming back to the conversation, just give me a quick second here. We're having a technical challenge in the back end. So folks, just give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we will see what that interesting conversation was happening last night.
All right. So we are back. Sorry for the little bit of a delay, but
no, all good.
We are back on the Morning Vibe on September 20th, sunny day, election day in Canada. So let's fun. So thank you for the engagement for the first part of the conversation. If you want us to go deeper on it, folks, put the comments, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe or Ryan's YouTube channel or Ryan's ACBN Facebook channel or Dr. Vibe's Facebook channel.
Yes.
So we are, enjoyable discuss as always. Thank you. Well, we're doing our stuff here, and thank you for help make it an epic conversation. And Christopher Lawrence is here. Mr. Lawrence, what is up? What is up? Yes, today is election day. So we'll start off this part of the conversation. I was hosting Black Canada Talking yesterday. You saw the promo for it. It's on most Sunday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern time, where we get POVs and thoughts from Black Canadians and showcase Black Canadians. One of my panelists yesterday, Cesar, he said, well, look, Trudeau was a drama teacher, so he loves drama. So I thought that was a hilarious comment. I thought he just extending what he was in his past life. He was a drama teacher, so he wants drama.
Hey, and it can go further. It's like he enjoys acting and teaching those around him how to act. If we want to take his past and put it onto what they've been doing. And that's a lot of what you say, that third piece, the symbolism, being able to say the right things, show up at the right ways and whatever, but not actually do the thing. Like, that's what a lot of his opponents have been pushing back on. It's like, yeah, you say a lot of the good things, but you're actually not doing them. So,
well, he could come back and say, because I have a minority government, my hands are tied. He should say that.
Right.
Yeah, I thought about it a few days ago. Like, okay, you want to do certain things, and the reason why, if people say, well, I want you to do this, this, and this, well, I can't. I have a minority government. I've got to get other people to approve.
Right. But then the way that if he could stand on that, if things that he's proposing are being shot down. And if it is, that would be a good campaign to run on, to say, listen, this minority government is at a stalemate because things that I'm putting forward is getting shot down on the left or the right. Now, either we go for a majority or we need to reset. So that would make people understand why we're in this election.
Oh,
I didn't see him reading.
And Sarah Yango, who is incredible journalist based in the
Hey, Sarah.
Got to Know region. Yeah, if you get a chance, folks, it's up on. Well, I'd have to. I'm hopefully going to post this today. When Cesar made that comment, and Sarah and I were watching. Like I've known Sarah for a little bit. I have never seen Sarah laugh so hard, and it was a classic moment. It was a real classic moment, and it was hilarious when Cesar said with the drama queen and all this. It was just it was one of those moments that you just like, wow. I never thought. I go, but you see, we Black people are smart, right?
Yes,
we're smart people, but like that was just like, he came up with that comment. But yeah, so yeah, today is going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see how many people come out. It could be such a close election. It could mirror the last presidential election where we may have to wait a few days. We may not get the results.
Hopefully not weeks.
Well, true, and
that was crazy.
And you know what? And I was thinking, are we going to get anything about this election was rigged?
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, but one of the things that you have seen in this election, there have been more aggressive individuals.
Okay, true.
During this election, you have a lot of protests and things like that. It'll be very, very interesting to see if any of that comes up. If like, I think for the conservatives, it's either majority or you didn't win.
I would push back on that. I would think if they take the minority from the Liberals, that would, especially for O'Toole, because O'Toole now, if he can't get a minority or a majority from the Liberals, I feel like they're gonna try and find somebody new. But if he can flip the power at minimum, that to me would be a win for him, because it shows Trudeau made a big misstep.
Well, Trudeau has made a misstep. He may not admit it, but him and it is his advisor. It's going to be very interesting after this election what the future of Justin Trudeau is.
I heard somebody joking that Chrystia Freeland is supposed to step in.
It's not a joke.
I'm not. Yeah, not a joke, but like I'm hearing those jokes being made.
It's not a joke, because the question is, has this election shown that Justin Trudeau's political capital is gone?
Right. Yes.
Right. Can you see him in another election getting a majority?
Well, and that's where it's difficult to reverse trends, because he had initially got the majority and then went down to minority. So now he's banking on going back up to a majority. I haven't seen what's happened that would.
He ain't getting a majority.
That's like in that favor, but that's really the only victory for him. For him to call this is to get a majority.
So here's the question. What could the Liberals do going forward to get a majority based on how divided this country is? And just to play on that, I didn't have a chance to mention this yesterday with Sarah and Cesar. And Sarah, we're going to get your question up in just a second. That when I remember it's consumer ed class, Mr. Patrick was the teacher, and he said something that I've never forgotten. He said it back then. He said to us, everything that happens in the United States will happen within 10 years in Canada. And that was back then. And now it's even a shorter phase. This country, you see America's divided. If Canadians say America's divided, we should look at our own country.
Okay. Huh. Well, yeah, look at east to west. What Alberta's all blue, Nova Scotia now, provincially at least, it's gone all blue. So if Ontario starts to flip blue too, the Liberals are in trouble. Done. But that's where Trudeau has to flip Alberta, at least something in Alberta or Quebec.
Not happening.
So
not Alberta. Not Alberta.
Yeah.
So bringing up Sarah's question, and beautiful picture, by the way, and of you, Sarah, there. Beautiful. should we get a minority government? How can we still push all the parties to deliver on our priorities? How do we mobilize politically between this election and the next? Well, I think my first response to that is we got to get our own stuff together. Those who are willing to do that, I think we should be thinking past this election.
Mm-hmm.
And it came up yesterday between Sarah and Cesar. I don't think many Black people in the neighborhood, because I don't use the C word.
Right. Yes.
We have to start looking at future planning, sustainability. I don't know. We have to look past September 20th and going, what are we going to do? Regardless of the results. But you should be ready. Sarah's saying US-Canada events. Within 10 years, it's regressive. 30 years if it's progressive.
Oh, geez, dear. We have to fix that.
But I think we need to have those sit-downs and have those roll-up conversations. Say, is there, again, you tell me there's a C word out there. Okay, has the C word have any plans based on whatever the results is of this election?
Well, this is where the people that say they are working on this thing, let's, for example, Operation Black Vote, have they mobilized the community to, one, vote as a block, two, internally, like within the community, say, hey, who represents us? Like, I always joke that we should have our own internal elections and vote for the prime minister of the Black community that represents 20,000 votes. So when they can meet with these leaders and saying, like, listen, we need to hear your plan for the Black community so that I can bring it back to my block and you will get those votes. Internally, we don't know who represents us, really. So now we're all just individual doing our own things. So if Operation Black Vote, if that's not on their mandate, I feel like it should be to say, hey, start mobilizing the community to vote strategically. I don't think that we vote strategically right now.
Yep. Well, I say again, it all starts in the home, right at ground level, and we have to also realize that the real impact starts at municipal elections, municipal and provincial elections, and we have to mobilize from the ground up, like really ground up. I'd be very interested to know, and maybe Stats could do something on this. What percentage of Black Canadians who are eligible to vote will vote in this election?
Vote, right? I always wonder why they don't link voting to taxes. Like, once you have to do your taxes, you should have to vote. Like, to me, that would increase the participation.
So Sarah comes with a comment saying regional, linguistic, and cultural differences would make such centralization difficult. And good point, Sarah. Then how do we move? What is the solution or solutions to move forward if centralization is difficult?
And that's where let's lean into complexity. Like, let's not identify that it's complex and then just leave it. Let's understand that it's complex and lean in and be like, okay, this is why it's going to take so much more effort to get this thing done, because there's so much regionality, because there's so much linguistics, because there's so much tribalism among Caribbean countries and African countries. We have to lean in and understand, okay, because of this, what will work going forward? And the only way to figure that out is to talk to each other. Yes, you're from a different country. Let's talk and figure that out.
Yeah, I think we have to take the B1 philosophy, Black first.
Well, and it can start there. At least that would get people to the table.
Well, I think, it has to be realized that there's some people who don't want to be there. Fine, you still move on.
And that's the thing. Hey,
you don't want everybody. You want the right people.
Right. But I feel like knowing that it's going to be complex, we should still send the invites, and whoever shows up, shows up.
Well, the thing is, even if it was easy, a lot of people would find something to complain about.
Right? Yes.
No, I'm serious. There are some people will find something to they'll complain because it's easy.
Like, oh, it shouldn't be this easy. I don't know.
No,
That would be. I would welcome that complaint. If a person's complaining that it's too easy to get the Black community together and voting strategically, I will take that.
Sarah's saying difficult but not impossible. Yes, Ryan, lean into the complexity. You know, and I think that I really, I'm even more concerned now about the Black environment than I was before the pandemic started.
So why is that?
I see the divisiveness is even more than I thought it was.
Okay. Huh.
Because my thought is the pandemic would be bringing us closer together. I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing, let me put this, I'm seeing it at the grassroots level, but in a lot of the levels that are higher up, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, that.
Interesting.
I wish
Sarah,
I had a rebuttal to that. It's true.
Yeah. So Sarah, it's interesting. And if you're still watching this live, you had mentioned yesterday about, we had talked with a national in the United States has something like their National Urban League. We don't have it in the United States. They have something like the National Urban League. We have nothing like that in Canada. We have a number of these organizations,
right,
in Canada, but we don't have one or two organizations. But then again, people are, Sarah's saying, those same complainers want to be the first to benefit from your efforts. Like, of course,
they definitely do.
That's part of life. That your critics are the ones who hail you up when you succeed.
Oh yes,
they will tell you I've supported him all along. We love, we've been there right from the beginning.
Right. They'll say, "You see, I told you this is what we needed to do."
Yeah, Sarah's saying State of Black America Town Hall, which happens every year in the United States. That's done by Mark Morrell and his organization. Alethea saying, great topic this morning. Ryan, I like your idea. Operation Black Vote Canada and mobilizing our community.
Yes. That state of the Black, what was the state of Black Canada?
America. Yeah, Black
America.
Well, see,
how do we do that?
We can, but you know what? Certain organizations want them. Why can't we just collaborate and do it together?
Absolutely.
It ain't that
this gives me such a good idea. I'm going to come back to you with something.
I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble.
Oh, my brain is.
No, I know you have your green shirt on, so even when you have your green shirt on, yeah. So you got you got to run. Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts about September 20th, 2021?
If the Liberals get a majority, I will eat my green shirt. If the Conservatives get a majority, I will not be surprised. But a conservative minority and Justin is stepping down. That's my prediction. Conservative minority and Justin Trudeau will leave the Liberal Party and step back to Chrystia Freeland.
So you're saying that with a conservative minority?
Yeah, I don't think they'll get a majority, but I think Liberals miscalculated this election.
Wow. So you think if Trudeau does not get a majority, even if he gets a minority, he will step down?
If the Liberals get a minority, eventually the leadership will change because this will be, again, a bad misstep. Like they already had a minority.
So do you really see him doing that?
I don't know who's in his ear, but
whoever was in his ear has not been doing a great job.
Well, it used to be, was it Gerald Butts? And then he left.
He actually, people should be reading his commentary on this. He's a very smart man.
Oh, yeah?
Gerald Butts has been giving some very astute political commentary on this. You follow him on Twitter. He's been giving some very astute commentary on this. But Sarah saying Chrystia Freeland will be second female prime minister for a minute. So are you saying she wouldn't last long? Would she last longer than Kim Campbell? All right. So
Cool.
that is it. No, Ryan, if you have to go, I fully understand. You got to jump for your
Yeah, my apologies.
No,
so we
so
shall touch base later today.
All right, you take care, Ryan. What is up, folks? Well, Ryan had to jump. Usually he has something at the top of the hour. He got so entrenched in the conversation that he forgot about it. So I want to let him go. I don't want him late for his meeting. Well, look, folks, great conversation today. As you're seeing on the screen tonight, let me cycle back. I'm a host of a conversation called Black Canada Talking. I think I mentioned it during our conversation today. It's on most Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. Well, tonight we're going to a Black Canada Talking special edition tonight. We're going to be talking about the results of the election from a Black Canadian lens. So if you want to catch that tonight, you can go to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page. We'll be broadcasting live. Want to encourage you to follow me on my YouTube page so you'll get updated when I'm going live next. The scheduled guests, one of them is here right now, though she's going to be doing lots of work tonight in various capacities. Sarah Yango, incredible broadcast journalist based in the Gatineau area of Quebec. Also have Dr. L. Jones out of the East Coast. Warren Clark, who's studying for his PhD in Winnipeg, Manitoba, used to reside in Ottawa. And we have Cesar Nadima Musa from Ottawa. We also have some other people that I'm going to be inviting to see if they can come on. We're looking at around a start time around 9:30. Don't know how long we'll go. We'll go at least for an hour, maybe a little bit more. This may be an election where it may take some time, but certainly by 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, we should be getting a trend of what the outcome of the election is going to be. So I encourage you to catch the coverage tonight. I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive day to catch the morning vibe. And I'd like to thank everyone who jumped in today. So we're going to shut it down. And as always, I like to say when I close off, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. Again, tonight, 9:30 Eastern Time, we're going to be live talking about the Canadian election from a Black Canadian perspective. Hope you can catch it. And thank you so much for watching live on the replay. See you tonight.